Good morning from SI Poole Purbeck District. It's lovely to say this. We'd like to tell you about the exciting journey the members of our club have taken and are taking towards the publishing and distribution of our support and advice booklet for survivors of domestic abuse in Dorset. So, a routine visit earlier this year to our local safe house in Poole led to the germ of an idea. As usual, we made contact with the safe house so we could go in at Mother's Day and help with the children to choose presents for their mums and to wrap. This year when we went, it was quite concerning because we met with ladies who clearly needed lots of support. And they needed, for example, we met a mum who'd been in the safe house for 1 year and she had no idea what her next step should be, whether it's in terms of housing or benefits. We were sitting with others. One was about, we were talking about the courts, and she was terrified. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. What do I do? Finally, there was another lady we spoke to, and our counsellor, we have a counsellor member, and she said she hasn't got access to anything. And we all thought, well, crikey, what can we do? We're not supposed to be working in a safe house. Where is the support? How do we deal with this? So, and also we did know that there was ongoing staffing challenges in the safe houses. As we all know, money is tight, and it's not good for us down in Poole. So we thought to ourselves, what could we do? We went away and we just sat down in a coffee shop and thought, what should we do for our next step? So as usual, we had a brainstorm. We've got 12 members, I think, or was it 14? 14 members. We decided that we'd channel our strengths. So we're going to pool our resources. But I can't, that's the last time I could make that joke. Sad, isn't it? Pool our resources. Here we go. So in the past, we devised and printed bookmarks and relationship guidance. We linked with Purple Teardrop. You might have remembered that. And they're used all over the country. So we thought, could we do something similar? You know, what could we all do this year to focus? So as a whole group, we thought, right, so we're going to invite people who know about it in the area. So our fundraising was to get to the charities. We had speakers and so on. And we needed to make sure we were up to date with what was going on. I'm going to pass over to Caroline now, who's number 2.
Hello. Well, like many clubs, of course, we joined in the observations in the domestic abuse courts. Now, of course, most members, fortunately, haven't been into a court very often. But when they did go in, I think they began to realise the complexities of the justice system. And also, I think they began to feel empathy and the anxiety that victims feel. So, as Amanda said, we looked at what we had already done based on what we'd seen in the safe house, and we said, what can we do but in a practical way? Now, as the chair of the Dorset Youth Magistrates, I'd worked on a booklet which was to explain the legal justice system to young defendants. It's been so successful, it's actually gone national. So bearing that in mind, when we began to think about ideas, I brought this idea to the club. Fortunately, there was a prospective member sitting there that day, Jackie, behind me, and she just happened to be the victim support officer for Dorset Police, and she had also written a booklet for victims. So you know what's going to come next. She fortunately joined the club, and we sat down and began to think of the seeds of an idea for a new booklet. Now, we didn't just want to concentrate on the courts or indeed on legal matters, because we knew that victims also needed help, practical help. And that's where Amanda comes in, because she's got lots of experience working in citizens' advice with victims who are escaping abuse. Now, there's lots of information out there. We knew that. What we wanted to do was to create something that was local. And so another member came on board. She's done all the research on the local resources that are available. And we put our heads together, we put our skills together, and we've come up with this book called Fresh Thoughts. And I'll hand over now to Jackie.
So, as Caroline said, this booklet has been specifically designed for those women who have fled from an abusive situation to a refuge. So it's going directly to the refugees to start off with. Now, if any of you know the research behind victims of domestic abuse, there's normally 32 incidents of abuse before they report it to the police. So you can imagine the number of incidents a victim of abuse undertakes before they have the courage to flee their home. And often they won't flee their home because they fear that the abuse they get is greater outside of the home than in the home. So it takes a lot of courage to flee the domestic abusive home. So when they get to the refuge, the first thing is, whew, I'm out of the environment. And then the second thought is, what happens next? Where do I go? I'm safe, but what happens with my life? Where do I go? And I've got children as well with me. So the booklet covers those immediate concerns all in one place, which prevents them spending hours searching the internet to find the answers that they're looking for. So the booklet covers online personal safety, making sure they're safe to start off with, the procedure of the perpetrator through the criminal courts, then where children are concerned, the safeguarding of those children in the family courts, claiming financial assistance and making a homeless application. This book has been designed to educate, empower, enable those women who are fleeing domestic abusive relationships to move on with their lives. We intend to launch the booklet at the Orange the World, at the start of the Orange the World campaign. So the colour symbolises a brighter future for women without violence, which is what we hope this booklet will provide them with, the answers to the questions to enable them to move on and have a brighter future. Our meeting place now has a popular cafe, which will go orange on Saturday the 25th of November, and we will launch this booklet as the start of our 16 days of activities. We intend to be active by raising awareness of the booklet to both local and national politicians and key domestic abuse campaigners like Nicola Jacobs, the DA Commissioner, Baroness Newlove, the former Victims Commissioner, and Her Majesty the Queen, who we know has a particular interest in domestic abuse. Going forward, we intend to deliver this booklet to the refuge ourselves as we can engage with the women, and their feedback will influence future booklets going forward. For example, in Dorset County, an awful lot of the women in the refuges in Dorset County are at such a high risk. They don't live in Dorset, they've been relocated to Dorset. So one of the next booklets going forward is consideration for those victims of schooling, where they can get help, where they can find, because local travel in the depths of Dorset isn't easy, so what bus services are available, what public services are there for them. So that's an idea going forward for the next booklet. And we are seeking sponsorship for future booklets from local family law solicitors, as this will enable further production and distribution of the booklet. So the back of the booklet, here we've got advertising space. So not only will the victims be advised going forward about the family courts and the criminal courts, but also there'll be a handy solicitor's advert on the back that they can turn to in exchange for their advertising. So that's our project to you today, ladies.